What is going on, everybody? It's Dan Tom here from MMA Junkie, as well as the Action Network. But on this here program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, we break down high-level MMA. That's what we're going to do here today in a different way. Not an official breakdown show. We got UFC next week, but I missed a week last week. Didn't want to leave you guys hanging on a week off, so we're going to recap the last couple Bellators, the last UFC. I did post plays, as you can see, on my handle that I always have posted here at Dan Tom MMA. I'm not muted either. Thanks for the reminder, Ghost. Hopefully, you guys are hearing me okay, because I double checked that this time. As per usual, I usually post my picks and plays on Twitter. On Fight Day, of course, I have Fight Day content from the occasional prop squad appearance to the normal quick picks and prognostication pieces. So I want to let those breathe a little bit and get those out there, and of course reward the hardcores who join me every Thursday afternoon. I know the time has been jumpy with my training schedule, but reward you guys for being here live with where I'm leaning, the early tidbits, and so on and so forth. A lot of you longtime listeners kind of smell where I'm going on a lot of these things too. You get to know Dan Tom and my biases, because again, we all got them. We all got them. So it's just going to be a light episode today. Got my coffee here. Just beat down, trained to death, trying to get over this, trying to get into the 170s comfortably, and I'm like on this plateau. I was since I missed the podcast last week. I just wasn't well like the week before, and non-COVID related, tested and did my due diligence there and all that. But I had like this leftover lung stuff, like I was trying to wrestle, and it felt like my lungs were just pouring with water. So that was not fun. So it was just a pleurisy, which is just like lung inflammation that can be left over. You get a cold or flu or stuff like that. And it's improving, which is good. It's training my butt off. I think it's halfway through day 4 this week, and I've gotten 8 sessions in already. So 2 a days, 3 a days, one a day. But yeah, gonna try to spa tonight. We'll see. I'm a little backed up. I'm fucking tired. I want to see if I can nap or something. So we'll get through this. Pop your questions below. All right. Hey, my man Alvin Yakitori in the house. MMA is a paradox in itself, he says. When fighters display violence in the cage, they are really trying to convey mankind's courage to conquer themselves, to overcome prejudice and adversity. Sometimes it's also a therapy session in there. But yes, it's very poetic, very deep there, Alan, but appreciate it, sir. And yeah, psychologically, a lot of that can be. I was talking about fight psychology a lot lately, on a personal note, and how it kind of permeates. And a lot of it comes down to some psychology of proving things to yourself, to others, whatever it may be, the proverbial chip on the shoulder that we refer to fighters often having and needing. It's not a jab at them, and at least it shouldn't be. Sometimes it is used to jab at them, their sensitivity, the chips on their shoulders. These are things that are needed. These are things that are expected, and kind of psychologically congruent there with my man Alvin's statement. We got Jin Karasu in the chat. Jin says, you picked Dern last week. You did great analysis, but I think that Xiaonan winning is great. I do too. We'll definitely get to that. Since we know the UFC tried to set Dern up, Jin says, with someone who is normally not good on the ground. Yeah, it felt like that, and perhaps I was fighting my bias, but we're definitely going to jump in here. The next question is about my training, which I was just on, but let's start with the important stuff, which means not me, but we'll definitely get to that, and I'll update you guys there on what I can, I guess. But let's get into this. I'm going to share the link to go live, but we'll get into Dern and Zhao now. Why don't we get into that now? As Jin brings it up, and I'll roll down and get the rest of you guys. If you guys want to pile in, appreciate it. Like and subscribe while you're at it. While my behind shares this video out to the general public. Also, I believe Cage Warriors has some fights going on this weekend. If you guys want to let me know if there's any MMA worthwhile, at least that you'll be watching, or even if not MMA, let me know what you're doing this weekend. How do you guys? That's actually much more interesting to me, to be honest, is to hear how you guys spend your non-MMA weekends, or not MMA, but non-UFC mainstream MMA weekends. You know what I mean? All respect to them. But, let me get this shared here. And again, like and subscribe. Appreciate that, guys. Going to share this now, and we will roll on with the recap and get on with this show. Ooh, hello. There we go. All right, come in, join the convo here. No typos. What do you know? All right, folks. So, UFC Vegas 61, which was Dern versus Xiaonan. Dern, the person whom this card was built around, was defeated by unanimous decision. Majority decision, 48-47, 48-47, and 47-47, which I believe was turned in by Mike Bell. So shouts to Mike Bell, who's, sometimes... I don't know if it's obviously going to be contrarian. Everyone's trying to do a great job, and it's a really tough job to do, right? I feel like I've seen him go rogue in some other ways, perhaps, but one of the ways that I do like that he does go rogue more statistically than other judges, a stat courtesy of Couchside Judges co-host there with Dan Urban, that is Scott Fontan, a great follow on Twitter, by the way. He's been a guest on here before. And he tracks a lot of interesting stats. I believe he's going to, hopefully, I don't know. I don't want to make a promise, and because it's an extra task. But as a listener of the Couchside Judges, hopefully Scott's going to be busting out some new cool stats here as far as judge tracking. But yeah, Mike Bell tends to go 10-8, so we'll talk about that round. But I definitely am not one to hate judges or people in general going 10-8, much less for grappling-based rounds. You know how that bias tends to be. Again, it's not an intentional bias. It's not like judges are being told to go out there and say, grade the striking over the grappling, though I've heard people in educated positions that ought to know better describe it that way, which I don't feel is correct. It's effective striking and grappling in defense of the judges and in attempt to try and subjectively, speculatively answer the question as far as to why we see the bias more towards striking. Well, again, it's easier to grade than grappling. It's a little more visual, right? And then dissecting the striking further, as we tend to do on this program, as far as the three different levels: legs, body, and head. Body first, then legs, or head first, then legs, and then body last, right? As far as what's being graded. And again, it's not because judges are evil and are twiddling their mustache and say, we're going to fuck over body work just to piss Dan Tom off. Though it can feel that way. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's not why. It's just my simple speculative explanation would be just the common sense one, right? Occam's razor, if you will. The simplest explanation, it's headshots are a little easier to grade and see, even though those of us who know fear the body. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. So yeah, long explanation, but I definitely don't, and I'll try to go sweep through some of your guys' questions on this fight or any other fight. Plug them in the chat, like and subscribe. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to rake anybody over the coals. Of course, the 2 rounds in question for 10-8s were the 2 rounds that you could and should, obviously, which were clear Dern rounds. Clear being the operative word there, right? For the common sense test, which isn't written in the criteria, but there is the whole common sense test. Says, does this round... Okay, maybe we can argue whether it's a 10-8 or not, but then if we do the common sense test and go, is this like a normal 10-9 round? Like, no, there's not even like an argument for who won the round. Rounds, what was it, 2 and 5 off the top of my head, forgive me if I'm wrong there, were Dern rounds. So by the common sense test, you know, you could say they're both 10-8s. Personally, it's tough. I wasn't watching live, so I watched on the rewatch with the knowledge of knowing the rounds, right? Even though I'm more of a 10-8 guy and more of let's make sure we're grading the grappling here. They weren't home run 10-8s for me neither round, to be honest. I probably lean more toward Mike Bell's side as far as if one of them was going to be a 10-8 round, we would give round 5. I probably would have had the 47-47. I probably would have had the draw score, to be honest. I was not mad that Yan won. Back to Jin's comment, I'm happy that Yan Xiaonan won. She worked hard. She's shown a ton of progression. More progression than Dern has, right? Again, I was saying I was picking Dern, but if she wasn't able to get the submission, like I said in my video breakdown for this fight, none of us should be surprised. And specifically citing, and that's another reason why I wanted to do the podcast, because everyone, like outside of John Anik, shouts to John Anik. I know John Anik was firing from the hip, like he was, having some of Grandpa's old cough medicine or something, and he was just letting him fly. That's not John Anik, by the way. He was professional, and I think he did a fantastic job. But with the testicles comment and whatnot, I know he was a little self-critical as John can be, because he's just, the best are often that way, right? And John's the man, so this is no slander on him. But he, of course, mentioned in the commentary that he thought Torres won because she. Again, officially, Torres did not win. Dern won. But as I said in my breakdown video, lest we not forget, Dern may be 1-1 in her last fight, but she was thoroughly outstruck in her last 2 fights. She was outstruck by Tecia Torres. By the statistics, for you numbers lovers out there. And I had like a whole Twitter and like audio breakdowns of that fight after, as far as just like... And I heard I've heard a lot of my colleagues in the media follow suit, grading fights since then, because I was rather vocal both privately and publicly with this, as far as like big punch, big noise, must be big impact, win round, as opposed to actually watching what the fuck is going on. Which there were some of these rounds when I was watching Jan, I was just like, oh wait, we're 3 minutes in. We're either 2 minutes and 30 seconds or literally, almost a whole 2 minutes into the round, and Dern has literally not landed one clean strike. Maybe a couple, like close grazers, but like she would literally go a whole half round without landing a clean strike. Oh, this reminds me of the Tecia Torres round 1, and one of 3 rounds that Dern and many people. Whether they were on her or just a fan of her or what, were just like, and I love Jason Perillo, and I don't blame Jason Perillo. A lot of the shortcomings and whatnot. Like, he's a striking coach, and he's emphasizing her to get to the grappling. Like, he is the one vocally pushing it. Like, he's saying all the right things in there, and most of this, Dern is probably one of the more rawer fighters he's had on a higher level. You could argue Chito Vera, but Chito Vera did a lot of work with Colin Oyama, Team Oyama, before going over to Perillo's, and Perillo's definitely made an impact on him. But a lot of the people like Cyborg, BJ, Bisping, like these were already like champions and developed fighters at the time too, as well. So it's a different curve, and I don't think Perillo should catch too much flack for that. I obviously still think he's a fantastic coach. But yeah, as far as the rounds go, and then I'll get to your guys' chats here. I would go more toward round 5, and I could see why round 2 if someone wanted to give a 10-8 there. I suppose, but for me, I think we don't even... Mackenzie doesn't get to an omoplata sit-up position until about 3:15 in the round, and it felt like it was in there a lot longer, live, because I kind of watched it sporadically live, I should say. But when I went to rewatch it, like, the omoplata was only like 30 seconds. And credit to her, she transitions right to another submission. I believe it was a head and arm choke off a scramble. And she holds that for like another, 30 seconds or something like that. And then she gets to a dominant position. She does mix in some strikes, so there are some strikes in there as well. The omoplata looks closer to finishing than any of the submissions in round 5, right? So by that logic, how could someone give a confident round 10-8 round and not give that? Or by that logic, you could say they both weren't 10-8s, which I'm actually fine with, believe it or not. If you just wanted to give those 10-9s to Dern, because there wasn't crazy damaging strikes. It wasn't like Aljo and Jan where it's heavy elbows where they're really pinned and you have the ref moving in and or verbally warning. That, to me, garners into 10-8 region, no matter how much duration or dominance they have. If you're making the ref think about stopping the fight, no matter what you're doing something right. And if there is enough of a duration of damage being done to that, the ref's crowding in, whether it's a flurry against the cage or it's a mounted position, a grounded position, and the ref's having to step in, whether that's standing or on the ground, you are demonstrating enough effective, damaging offense to potentially stop the fight. And again, if we were going by the 10-7 ruling that everybody seems to forget, the most important differentiating factor, which has been threatened to be written out of the rules from North American commissions from some talks, if a fight is deemed that it should have been stopped, duration and dominance don't even matter. If it should have been stopped, arguably should have been stopped, you can go 10-7 according to the criteria. So, yeah, if a ref is threatening to stop the fight and it's close to, like, I don't blame anybody going 10-8, but we didn't get those moments really in round 2 or 5. I would, for anybody that would give a round 2 a 10-8, again, no shade, no disrespect, more props than anything. But again, back to the almost like the buggy choke, right? Shouts to Laura Sanko. I think she posted a breakdown on this. I feel like not only we did the overcompensating, right? We tried to go away from lay and pray to effective damaging, and we got on this like kick like last year, and it's still being sorted out to this year, where people are like, again, almost overdoing the damage thing where they are discounting grappling, and we were seeing even that inconsistency amongst judges, to be fair, right? And now I feel like we're going back. We're re-correcting the steering wheel again. And people who, whether they were accused or feel like they are lacking in the grappling knowledge, or maybe that's not their strength, or they weren't as accreditatious of, as I'm making up fucking up words right now, to it in the past. I think what a lot of people are doing now is they're overcorrecting, or going, oh, buggy choke, damaging submission, or omoplata, they should could have finished the fight from there, and it did. I just said so. I just said myself that it looked like it was the closest ending of fight. But let me ask you this. Shouts to my MMA coach, Dennis Davis, who was just going over this in an ME fight team practice this week. We were using omoplatas to scramble out of a bad position, and we weren't going for him. But we were using all the other setups that come out of them and the scrambles that they create, and how to control those scrambles to your favor. Because as we saw with Mackenzie Dern, folks, you can be Mackenzie frickin' Dern, right, in that division. And it's such a low percentage submission. You know what I'm saying? It is so low percentage. Again, it's just like my rants with the spinny shit that seems to win rounds when it's just so low percentage bullshit, a lot of it. And I'm a Taekwondo fucking black belt here, folks. Believe me, I love the spins. I'm just saying. Low percentage. Especially when people are just spinning to spin and not spinning to win. And anyways, neither here nor there, but omoplata, low percentage. So, if we're going to, like, not just retroactively credit it, but retroactively credit these kind of submissions so much that we're going to go 10-8 on them now, it's like, you know, it's like when I was, and again, I love this podcast, love those guys, Couch Side Judges, when I was talking with them about, what was it, Saldana and, what's his name, fucking so disrespectful. Sean Woodson. Shouts to Phil McKenzie. But like, you know, it was like, you know, how much credit are we giving that? Like, buggy chokes aren't as new as we've been saying. Like they've been around, but not like been around. So it's like, it's hard to say, like, you know, definitively, oh, it's low percent, but it's pretty low percentage, folks. It's you know, we'll probably see more of them, but, you know, again, like, it's just like, if we're gonna be so favorable to things like that, and it's just like, how many fights, not even like going past pre-modern era, just like within the last 5 years even, how many fights are we going to have to retroactively go back on higher percentage, more common, more functional submissions like triangles, arm bars, still lower percentage from the guard, especially depending on what division we're talking about. But how many times have we seen those submissions not given credit for? Like, no, you didn't get it, not effective. No, doesn't matter. You didn't make him tap, not effective. That person strike, that's effective. They get the round. Like, You get what I'm saying here, folks? Is this point making sense? Like, but we see something flashy, and it's almost like because we're not sure what it is, and it's a new hip thing on the scene. It's like we're afraid to, and plus with the way everything's going and the climate and the correcting and the recorrecting the steering wheel, it's like we're like over crediting now, and even grappling nuts like me, we're like, you're not giving enough credit to grappling. Even I'm like, could be a 10-9. So that's my opinion on it. Rio, you were asking about my training fight. I'm going to get back to that. As Drake Riggs would say, recapathon. It is indeed, Ghost Phantom. Rain Lamina, the Mackenzie Dern of carrying the urn, the Austin Vanderford of taking it to the board. I love it. Keep hitting me, brother. Jimmy Kudo, as a representative of the Drake Riggs fan club and Team Magnum, I would like to wish you a good conversation. Thank you, Jimmy. As the most positive man in the internet, Alvin Yakitori, I agree, would likely say. Yes, indeed. We got James Kendrick. How do you see a fight between Yan Xiaonan and Wei Li going? Wei Li has too much firepower and wrestling for Xiaonan. Yeah, I agree too. As good as Xiaonan is on the feet, I know in her post fight she said she's not worried about anybody on the feet, but again, you watch that Marina Rodriguez fight, and I beg to differ, right? Again, competitive fight. I'm not saying that, props to, Hearts Out to Jan Betters there, took the shot, but I'm just saying. Wei Li, and obviously the wrestling and clinch, because she's just an offensive maelstrom. As improved as Jan's defense is, we've seen Wei Li. She'll go for that heavy damage in the position to where we are either not arguing for the 10-8 or she gets the finish if she's going to get those positions. We got Synchro Wing. Does it make you angry that UFC tried to get Dern a finish by matching her up with Jan? I think it was great that Jan did great. I think it was great too. And yeah, again, it's not that I wish bad on anybody, and there are, for as much as we like to, focus on Dana White and criticize, the things that are fair to criticize on, more than fair. As much as I love to take shots to matchmakers in my main card picks and columns, as much as the usual suspects get it, is what I'm trying to say. There are plenty of good people in that promotion, just good people like you and me, who work their behinds off, and those people I absolutely sympathize. So I'm definitely not wishing for promotions and jobs lost or fighters or personnel to be more overworked. I love me some chaos, some Project Mayhem, you know what I'm saying? But I got a heart too, so I'm not wishing utter chaos, but yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? The dude who's been set up in a fight before to lose and did lose, is set up to face a, lightweight champion, and then your corner doesn't show up, kind of a deal. Believe me, when the person who's not supposed to win, as the unathletic guy who's not supposed to win anything, I'd be lying if there wasn't some satisfaction. Guilty. I gotta be honest about it, right, folks? So yeah, I got both sides on me. I feel you. I liked it. And again, I just didn't like that I wasn't on it, but I'm glad that I didn't heavily invest in this fight. We'll talk about bad investments later. Of course, we went 7-5 overall in this card, 2-2 in straight plays, 1-4 in props, 0-1 in the ad. Oh, that's what did us in. If we didn't add, we would have been in the black. And 0-1 in the long shot, parlay, and round robin, because the round robin we only hit 1 of 4 legs, which means we hit nothing. Rain Lamina, did you watch the one card last week? No, I did not, unfortunately, man. And there's some good stuff there. I still got to catch up on the trilogy match between Lee and Zhao there, but I missed it. I fucking missed it, man. So I just been busy training me butt off. I'll before I go back and get too far off. Thoughts on training on a scheduled time you are supposed to fight? You say you are fighting at 7 p.m. You think you should train at 7 p.m. to prepare. Yeah, that stuff definitely helps. I agree. I think it is. You got to do your rehearsal as much to the environment as you can make it. 7 p.m. is when the sparring happens, and 7 p.m. is when the cards start, and I'm a nobody, so I would probably be toward the beginning of a card. So I love it. It fits great for me, right? Headliners maybe a little later, but you don't often have that luxury, right? You just got to go in when the team's in to get the work and get the sparring in, unless you can build your own team and pay for your own team. I do not have that money or luxury, but most people don't, obviously. So I agree, and I've just been kind of training my butt off to go with that excuse as far as why I've been watching very little MMA, because it's hard to keep up with MMA as normal. It's a big topic on this podcast for years, and many podcasts from many people, right? Much less when you're trying to do the sport. I always said lay off the fighters who don't watch it. Like, I get it. When I was doing it, I could not watch it. Now I have to because it's my job, and it's tough, man. Like, I was talking with my guy Oscar Willis. We were joking, like, I can see why people get on the sauce when they do this stuff, because it's almost nearly impossible to get all the sessions in. I prioritize right now in the 8-week portion of camp. Priorities are sprint, strength and conditioning, and obviously sparring, which is the number one of the three, right? You can't do more than 2 sprints. 2 strength and conditioning sessions are what I want to aim for. We don't really go all out in the sprints in Gills, but we pretty much cover almost everything else. He's an excellent strength and conditioning coach. And then I, of course, Tuesday and Thursday nights at 7 p.m. to the last question there from Rio. So that's 6 sessions, and certain things you can't do on the same day. Like sprints and strength and conditioning is just too much, or even back-to-back sprints and strength and conditioning. So you're having to space out your day, and you're running out of days in the week. There's only 7 days in the week and 24 hours in the day. Your body can only recover so much, particularly when you're 37 years old, getting up to 40, and you haven't cut weight since your 20s. So, it's tough. So, one of the days I'm going to have to, for example, spar 7 p.m. to 8:30 doing that class, and then tag in the sprints after. Go drive to the hill and do some hill sprints in the dock. Strangers in the dark. There we go. Let's see. We got Jimmy Kudo. I kind of like the day off since I can relate to you, Dan. Most of the boys here train. Yep. Got to get that training in. Joachim. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Hey, Dan, I saw Zhang Wei Li training at Syndicate and Extreme Couture. Yeah, I saw photos of those too. I did not see her. Do those gyms have a relationship? What are the benefits of training at different gyms like Wei Li's team like to do? Just convenience, Vegas, there's so many gyms out here, but there's also a lot of people. So you're in a lot of different coaches, so you'll find different things at different places. I've never been to Syndicate, so I can't say what they have for facilities, but like, for example, Extreme Couture, it's like a super gym, right? It's like 2 whole buildings. It was 1 when I first joined back in like 2007, and now it's like 2. It's got its own, medical, like rehab, physical therapy that I've used for my hand in there. We got saunas, private mats, cages, the whole deal. I know they have more than adequate training equipment, good coaches, good fighters at Syndicate as well. So you have plenty of fighters going there, rightfully so. I don't know what relationship. We're all competitors, right? If you're all gyms here, but like, I don't know. Extreme Couture has never been like, I could proudly say we've never been part of crappy tactics, and if anybody's participated in those, they've been booted out or weeded out. Like to keep things professional as far as all that goes. 2 more questions. I see a Dern Yan one around the corner, and I'll finish my thoughts on this fight and push on with a recap and we'll get going. Kendra Shield, re-listening to all the fights gone by in Jack Slack podcast in conjunction with PIYN. Thank you. I'm in good company. Jack Slack is the man. I appreciate that. That's high praise. Asher Quinn. Yan was the opponent that Dern specifically wanted, but the only other people above her, Dern had already fought or in the title picture except Andrade. Oh, I would love to see that fight. The matchup definitely made sense. Yeah, I don't know what Macy Barber's doing, but I feel like Dern and Barber should fight each other. Both girls that cost me like crucial tickets. I filled out my like author bio for Action Network recently, and they ask you your best bet, and they ask you your worst or most heartbreaking bet, and I couldn't decide between like. It was probably I was gonna go with Macy Barber versus Miranda Maverick. But I wasn't round robining or available to round robin it then, so I wasn't just losing the bet. Whereas the Dern and Tisha, as well as, which in the running, Punahela Soriano and Nick Maximov, just awful decisions. Even going back to rewatch, and I'm not the robber guide. I'm not using it here or using it there, or have ever used it. But I'm just saying I'm a conservative guy in that sense, and even I was like, bets aside, like it's hard to defend. But what hurt those the most is that like you got, you had money line. At least with Torres, I had the money line play at plus money, the plus money by decision, right? And then she would have closed a winning round robin that night, which would have like made for like a grand difference in at least one account, and like at least half that difference in the other account. So that's what I ended up going with. So yeah. Another reason why, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sitting here busting out violins for it's a very small violin I'm busting out for Mackenzie Dern for not getting the judge's nod there after doing my girl Tisha dirty. These vets, man, making their last runs and these close fights, and this one was not egregious and whatnot or whatever, but like and Aldo did not help himself, with his low volume. But there was still an argument that you could have scored it for him, right? Especially based on the criteria as it's written, especially. It's just, oh my goodness. Now, what's the other one in Brazil they're gonna have a retirement match? Capoza freaking tweeted like, if they set him up just to lose to a Contender Series guy, Shogun versus Pateria, the Contender Series dude, like, my goodness. That is just perfect. Wouldn't that be perfect? Again, these matchups that I keep telling, they keep making them, and like I got mad when they did it to Hobocop, like, and then they're doing it to Shogun. Come on. But yeah, we got disagree Asher. This was manipulative BS. Yeah, it felt more on the manipulative side. I mean, let's be. I mean, I don't want to get sidetracked. I mean, the audience manipulation with fucking Kuckerberg, Zuck the Cuck over there, and I'm not like to resort to like hey, you cuck, like that. But I definitely I don't even know a lot, and I am not the authority to speak on Mark Zuckerberg. But even the little that I know is enough to be repulsed to the guy. Whether you want to talk about Myanmar genocides, whether you want to talk about allowing terrorist cells within this country to operate and fucking take the capital and organize a bunch of hate groups and BS unmitigated. The fact that everybody here watching at least has one relative that we know of that was radicalized by some Facebook group. And I'm not talking about Farmville, which was bad enough back in the day when you met the relative who just kept sending you the Farmville requests. Oh, you thought it wasn't going to get worse than that. Boy, were we wrong. I miss the Farmville days when that was the worst of the radicalizations. Or what he did to the media industry that I do work within. As far as the pivoting to video, heck, I haven't even been working media long, folks, or I'm that deep into it. And even I remember the bullshit, all the hoops, everybody of every role had to jump through just to pivot to video and facilitate the firing and the cutting of whether actual people and expenses for this fuck the cuck Zuck. Really? Fuck you, Zuck. I'll fight you, bitch. Sorry. Look how I'm talking. I'm using bitch and cuck. I apologize. This following program will be using explicit language. The thoughts of Dan Tom do not reflect the thoughts. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not even authority. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm just saying. Yeah. On top of that, that's not even just throwing stones at rich guy for being rich. Or it's not. It's beyond that. It's just like what a fucking douche. And I guess part of it, I think Ariel reported that it was by Dana White's doing or this or that. But either way, it's just like, the fighters can't see that, have their families there. I don't know people's specific media contracts or jobs, but for example, me, I know I'm not a full-time employee. I'm an independent contractor like these fighters. That's why I never take time off. I hate missing things because I don't work. I don't get paid. So as much as they drown us with week-to-week content, we could use a break. I don't think Dana was giving us a break out of the kindness of his hearts. Didn't affect me or my beat. Again, I'm too busy to kind of care, but I just had to get that out there. Kind of, yeah. Like, I would legit love to fight Mark Zuckerberg, and I would love to respectfully grapple Tom Hardy. I want to stay purple belt. Tom, stop sandbagging, buddy. Not that I don't think I'm getting any brown belts or brown stripes anytime soon, but I'll sandbag purple as long as I got to, Tom. Come on, buddy. Masters division. We'll run into each other. You want to go to Vegas? Let's do it. Anyways, Jin Karasuba ended Wells and Janelle Nanwan, even though I'm not a fan of her. Yeah, I'm happy she won. And props to Team Alpha Male. They've been a topic of conversation in this chat. Recently, people have been asking me about their coaching. I was trying to sign some positive. There's a nice positive to shine on them. Co-main event took a half-unit shot on Masa Randuba. The pick was wrong, but, if you read again, it's hard to say this because I wasn't able to say this, but I actually did do tape. The funny thing is I didn't do a podcast, folks, but since I didn't have to do a podcast, I actually ended up just taping all the way through Thursday to Friday. And I actually quietly did a lot of tape on this fight. That's why I had a decent amount of plays, because I'm like, I did a lot of tape and I didn't get in my own head and kind of kept quiet. And instead of getting upset about it, which I was upset that I wasn't able to give you guys a podcast, I apologize. But I was like, let's fucking fire. And as I explained in my Quick Picks and Prognostications article, so at least there's some written proof. Part of my reasoning for picking the old man was that Randy Brown, and I love Randy Brown, higher ceiling, deserved favorite. Not disagreeing. Only took a half-unit shot on Masa Randuba, but my reasoning was that Randy Brown fights close if he can't get the guy out of there. Masa Randuba, hard to get out of there. Almost got him out of there. Could not get him out of there in round one. What happened? He fought close, let Masa Randuba in round two. Could have scored it for him. There were grounds there. But with the cage grab denying the takedown, which what we saw probably would have happened if that takedown did happen, that was a major thing. And I'm glad that John Anik did the testicle line because it needed to be brought attention to. That was a changing of the fight. That was old Kill Him Keith. Kill Him Keith Peterson did not do me any favors. Mergliata and Herb Dean, hold your beer for refs that, for one reason or another, end up costing Dan Thomas plays. Keith Peterson has really been on it. That one, Hoyt. But it was nice to see people acknowledge, whether even people that pick and played Randy Brown, saying Trinaldo was the right side, and people weren't crazy. And again, that's all you got to say. That's all you got to say. Like, if I were to have been on the Maximo side or the Barber or the Dern side, it's like I would not feel good about those wins. I'd be honest about it. I've had those before. Not really, because let's be honest. Again, close fights that I bet on. It's a pretty high percentage the other way for old Dan Tom, because I love people who counter. I love technical strikers, not the big punch people. But anyways, unfortunately for Trinaldo, his big punch did not land. Shout out to my guy Tuman, by the way. Support the fight site. Support Tuman. But yeah, Randy Brown takes it, man. Hayoni Barcelos defeated Trevin Jones. Glad to see Barcelos. He did what a lot of us thought he would do and had been wanting him to do. Yeah, I just got scared off, so I didn't benefit. I should have had him in a parlay. Excuse me. I'm just going to keep blowing through the main card here, and then I'll stop for your guys' comments and keep plowing through. Sadiq Youssef defeated Don Shanus. Shanus actually, looked like a fun action fighter who fights to his frame, and just got right in there in that clinch and then got guillotined. Props to my guy Aaron Brownstetter, by the way, AB from the TSN MMA show. I think he had a really good betting night. I know he had a plus 1,200 by submission dart on Youssef, and Shanus showing his work, saying, guy's going to style, might as well style on this side, these kind of matchups. Sheamus was a grappler, I thought maybe it would be round 2 or round 3. Yusuf would get the stoppage, per my Quick Picks article. But it was kind of just all sped up. Sheamus grappled and was immediately subbed and snatched. I thought it was maybe going to be more, he gasses on bottom, and then, Sadiq finishes him off top with elbows. But he got the guillotine finish. Daniel Santos defeated John Castanata. Castaneda. This was tale of 2 rounds, man. Props to Willie Cat, really fun fighter. Props to anybody who bet him at underdog odds, of course. But this was tough because I really wish I could have talked about this more, but in my Quick Picks article, I cited the southpaw stance, and it was the right hook, southpaw right hook, and left high kick that I saw being particularly potent. Castaneda does not have a particularly deep game that we saw, but I thought it was deep enough just seeing how the play off of the cross to the right hook and head kicks played off of those left southpaw cross, the classic southpaw attacks, double attacks, check hooks, all those things. And we saw that. We saw it to a T, and, you could have argued a stoppage. I didn't go back to watch it. Me, I'm not really one to cry over spilt milk. I'll go into in-depth explanations where I kind of show my work and cite things that other people aren't citing per se, call things as they are. But, as far as online and the typical cry-based, it's not my style, so I obviously try to avoid that. But, I looked really right, I think I tweeted, this is what I was talking about as far as the southpaw look, but I don't know if it was the lack of depth or game planning, because those things seem to be intact, at least the game planning part, but I just think it might have been just, you think you're getting the classic, you think you got the guy out of there, screw it, I'm going to empty the gas, the jets, and that recoverability by Willie Cat was just insane. It's like I'm in awe, and I'm definitely giving props to Willie Cat, but then it's just like, oh my gosh, when he was saying, he's like, oh, you see how I train? I'm like, oh my goodness, crazy shootbox guys. I don't know, that old carryover from back in the day where people would stereotype Brazilians as front runners, but I don't know, man. The Charles Oliveira's, the Willie Cats, taking it up front and giving it in the back. Well, that's phrasing, Dan. You know what I'm saying here. Or just the long-time career war horses like the RDAs of the world, the Gleason Chibaos of the world, right? I don't know, man. I don't think these Brazilians are fading like they were stereotyped to. But yeah, so props to Willie Cat there. I'm glad they got fight of the night, so at least Castanata he got paid. Talked about Hayoni. Mike Davis defeated Vyacheslav Borishev. I know I wasn't the only one predicting some grappling from Davis. That was my prediction, that he'd pull away via the grappling down the stretch, and he did. That's the main card there. Gonna bust through some of your questions, and I'll bust through the rest of this card. And then quick touch on Bellator, and we'll be out of here. Asher Quinn, not sure who you could have matched Jernion up with. It was completely fine. Then again, I thought the fight was 50-50 before it started, so not mad at it. Fair enough. Asher Quinn adds, thought 10-8 fifth round, so scored it a draw. More than fair. Genuinely think the last 10 to 15 seconds of her getting up and standing 2 or 3 strikes from bottom prevented it. She also landed strikes in the beginning of that round too, although it was only, 23 seconds worth of standing, as opposed to the round 2, where she was actually landing a minute and a half at least worth of strikes. So definitely, again, more of a 10-9 for me round 2, and very open to the 10-8 in round 5. No problem with how you scored it there, Asher Quinn. Did this, and then we go Ghost Phantom. You think Jan committed to the front kick to the body early, it would have gassed Dern out in the later rounds. Jan doesn't really front kick to the body in the first place. Yeah, she seems like the side kick, more oblique kick style to the knee. But in her post-fight, she specifically cited a fear of head kicks getting caught. And although I don't disagree with that, I'm of the school of thought that body kicks are the easier kicks to catch. When I'm trying to draw out kicks, have I and can I parlay a blocked or missed head kick into a takedown, or a caught or even a missed leg kick to a takedown, sure. But when I'm trying to take someone down off a kick or counter their kick, I want that body kick. A lot of people will come out and give you that body kick to set up. Sitachai, some Muay Thai guys will start off the southpaw double attack that I just mentioned. The cross typically goes to the head, the kick typically goes to the body, and then you hit your change-ups from there, right? You don't have to, but just typically. So if I want to kick at someone, get them to kick back, I'll kick the body. Hopefully maybe they want to kick my body back. Leg kicks as well. I'm just so weary of slipping into head kicks. It's my biggest fear that overly slipping and overly reaching down and dipping to catch a kick both kind of give me the heebie-jeebies unless I'm really positive. I know it's coming. So I try not to make that my first priority, if that makes sense. Rio Sozin Truesdale. Henry Cejudo mentioned this. Do you think Dern has plateaued? Uncoachable, maybe. I don't want to throw any of those. I know she's jumped around, had some issues with coaches. I just think she was getting overly hyped for what she was, and I feel like she can still progress. She's still young enough to, but there hasn't been notable progressions, which is why even when I did pick her, it was very reluctantly, right? When I did play her, it was in a round robin, and that's it. Not even a sprinkle on a sub prop or a round prop. Yeah, so I never really had hopes in to begin with. I was just trying to talk sense into everybody, even before the Dern Torres scoring controversy from my perspective, right? Even before that, I was like telling y'all, like, chill. So yeah. Let's see. Jen and Ash are talking a bit in the chat. Jimmy Kudo, how much training do you do in your orthodox stance since you are a southpaw? A lot. Just today we were doing pass the Ducci to the right hand side. I wanna hit a body angle off. Left cross, right hook, and then left kick to the body. Step down, using the momentum to step down. Right cross to the head, left to the liver. From an orthodox stance, of course, it sets you up right for the leg kick as they are retreating. So coming forward in that combination, one I talked about here before, I like to do that kind of half moon, that step back shift into an orthodox stance as you sometimes roll, depending if they're coming at you and hooking. You step back and you roll. Your right hand is loaded and your right leg kick / right kick is loaded. I'm actually getting better now, and I've changed up. I've been actually doing striking lessons with a really talented striker / pro fighter. Shout out to my guy Abijah, and he's actually been working me a lot with my stance and hand positioning, footwork, everything. We're just really picking apart everything, and but keeping it to my style still. And he really improved my parries from my southpaw stance to where now I can actually hit my rear-handed parry encounters off open stance from southpaw, whereas before I would feel just like Stipe, more classic rear hand parries, finish with two, double pop the jab. Felt like my boxing was better from orthodox because the striking coach I hired, Bryce Rattani, who fought in LFA. He also fought pro boxing. He boxed Joseph Parker, for notable names off the top of my head. I hired him for my boxing back in 2015 when I had to wear these bad boys after getting my concussion. But I actually learned to box out of the orthodox stance with him and corrected a ton of my long-standing flaws. So I've got a decent relationship with the orthodox stance. I actually can go quite well. When I'm drilling for partners in the gym, I often go orthodox for them. Now that I have a camp, since I'm too damn nice, my partners and coaches are insisting and reminding and insisting me to work out of my southpaw stance, so I'm still getting my defensive reps. But it's good because like my defense is actually, not that it's good, but it's as good from my orthodox stance as it is from my southpaw, because I'm arguably doing more defense than I am doing offense, because I'm giving the orthodox look to not throw off my partner and kind of pay him back for dealing with my southpaw looks with me, because, not a lot of southpaws, even today. All right. Last one, and I'm going to push through and knock out the rest of this recap, because we're almost at an hour already. Ghost Phantom, what are your thoughts on Neil Melanson's tactical turtle? Better than guard? I love turtle. I'm a big turtle guy. Huge turtle guy. Neil turned me on to Eduardo Tellez, who is a big turtle guy in the gi and out of the gi. Go look up some of his videos. Like, you could see Eduardo Tellez is probably like a middleweight, not even a big one at that. And like, you'll see him going to turtle, and world champion black belt in his prime Gabe Gonzaga just like terrified to engage him. Neil really embraced his turtle as well, because catch wrestling, back in the day, folks, wrestling's one of the oldest martial arts, oldest Olympic sports, however you want to break it down. It was done on stone floors. There was not mats back in the day. They did not have tatamis or Fujis, okay? No dolomers. So you didn't pull guard. You went turtle. You re-wrestled. You got back, or you got back on top. You re-wrestled your ass back into the fight. So I'm a big fan of turtle. You don't go there to hang out. It's very dangerous, obviously. But if you know what you're doing, I love turtle. I'll bait Petersons. I'll re-wrestle for singles. Try to hit switch outs. It's fun stuff. I will get to the rest of the questions. Ilir Latifi defeated Alexei Olenek. By the way, missed a... oh, no, wait. We didn't get to that one yet. We'll get to that one. No, yeah, we didn't get to our plays yet. I was thinking about parlaying a Latifi, and then I had him by KO and KO round 1. Did not happen. Which is no surprise, I guess. Just, if he does get it, he gets it in round 1, or he goes to decision. He went to decision, obviously. So then I was like, damn, I wish I had my parlay with... I wish I did parlay him with Castanata. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just play Castanata straight up, and that sent me into the red. Again, at least it's small losses for what that's worth. So hopefully we'll get back on the horse in the coming weeks, so I can pay off these investments I put in my gym. Jessica Penne defeated Tabitha Ricci. Or no, she didn't. They didn't fight. That fight was canceled. Joachim Silva defeated Jesse Ronson. Ended up taking a shot on Ronson. I was really scared because Canada has not been doing well. The Joachim Silva bad against southpaws. Ronson, sounded great in the shape of his life. Sounded really confident. Sounded like he really liked the matchup. Was doing well. But this was an example of a southpaw initiative being key in southpaw versus southpaw matchups, or when someone tries to switch stance to mimic the stance. That's a bad look for the southpaw, especially a southpaw striker like Jesse Ronson, right? And not to pile on to the guy, make him feel worse. For the guys that terrible, like Jay Huron, like when it comes to getting a win, right? So definitely not trying to pile on, but something I'm passionate about is whenever someone tries to go southpaw with me, I immediately start kicking their leg. I'm not even a big leg kicker. I'll immediately start hacking their leg and throwing crosses and things that I'm not comfortable with, because I know their defense ain't suited for it, and they're giving it to me. And that's what you need to do. But if you don't take that initiative, right, and you don't test their defense, they're going to test your defense. And something I try to tell people who complain about partnering with southpaws, I go, don't complain to me, motherfucker. You know who hates fighting southpaws more than your orthodox ass? Other southpaws. No one hates fighting southpaws more than other southpaws. And we saw that. Ronson's defense got shook up. He wasn't sure where to go, and he kept ducking into those knees. Silva's corner smartly spotted it from the first round toward the end of it, carried it over to the second, and got him the finish because Ronson did not adjust. He got confounded and did not take initiative. You see someone southpaw stance on you, you have to play the odds, because the odds are, like, literally, even at the top level, like 90% of the chance they're not a real southpaw. They are not a real southpaw. You're the real southpaw. Fucking take the initiative. It's something that if I picked and bet Joaquin Silva, I would be just as passionate delivering the same message, folks. So, just got to get that out there. But yeah, Ronson play go down the hole. Allen play cash for plus 100 against Christoph Yatko. Brendan Allen used a beautiful gift wrap. I love it. That's one of my favorite setups I love to do in MMA. You know, I always talk about using the head and arm threat to pass to mount, right? Not only to pass to mount, but that head and arm threat, especially you use your head to steer the back of their tricep. It pushes it in the head and arm position, and what's here? Oh, a reach behind for the hand for the gift wrap, right? So I love that position. That's what I use to punch, head and arm, or take the back, right? To take the back from that position. So I think we saw a bunch of a la carte options Allen showed on a guy like Yatko, which is not nothing, folks. So props to Allen, and thank you for cashing that ticket, for helping stop the bleeding. Chelsea Chandler defeated Julija Storyalenko. Underestimated how big Chandler was going to be. And I thought also Storyalenko was going to be bigger and more of a physical force, but she both got gassed and got panicked. I think the panic initiated the gassing is why she gassed so fast. She did take it on short notice too, but that was just ridiculously fast. I think that was panic, and I'm not hating. I did it to myself in my first sparring back. I gassed myself the first round because I got panicked. I got put in a fight mode, and I didn't control my senses. So I get it, and I'm not hating. But you know, I did pick her and play her by sub and armbar round 1 at like plus 750 odds. It was there. She even got the takedown. She just rushed the armbar, and that's all she wrote. Got beat up on the feet, and then pushed away, and then pounded out on the floor. So Diaz sister, I should say, comes through. If you played her, Guido Canetti came through. Only played him at a half unit. Defeated Randy Costa. I know I tweeted my undefeated streak, and again, I put out plays, last minute, day of, without a podcast. But to my credit, even going back to my written note days, back when he fought Hugo Viana and was like a plus 400 dog, I remember picking Guido Canetti there. Undefeated picking him doesn't mean I picked him every time, obviously, because he's lost a bunch. No. That means I'm undefeated and picking him because I've picked him to lose too. I was the only person on Junkie staff picks to pick him to beat Diego Rivas in Diego Rivas' home country. He was the only home country fighter, and I feel like people thought, oh, well, he's clearly being set up to win here. And he had the very lovely cancer survivor story, which obviously I, and I'm sure you, are very sympathetic to. We should all be. But you gotta put those things aside. We're breaking down a fight here, and I feel like everybody, including the odds, were blinded by that. And Guido Canetti, I don't pick him a lot, but when I do pick him, it comes through. It was just one of those things, I don't know if so much Costa regressed. I know people were talking about that, but for me, when I was taping this fight, again, a fight that I taped, when I was saying it, I'm like, I know he's older, and I know Costa's younger, and old Southpaw Dan. As I told you guys, Dan Tom's gonna be playing into his bias, going with the old Southpaws, because he is an old Southpaw getting back into competition, right? But when I was looking, and again, pad work's not something you can base your fight picks off of, but just looking at the training. Neither training situation was anything like super special to write home about, but just watching them each on the pads, I was watching, Randy Costa, he's got the cool gear, the cool mustache, he's got the headband, he's in shape, he's just, he's looking the part, and he looks like he really loves looking that part, I'm not hating, good looking dude, but he just looks like he loves looking that part, you know what I'm saying? Whereas Guido Canetti's like breaking down technique on his Instagram. Like, this guy's a lifelong martial artist, like really just breaking down the game. Real passionate, real at peace coming into this fight. So I really liked Canetti there, and ended up going with Guido, and was really happy to see him come through, man. I'm just, these fights, the Jillian Robertson recent one, for stylistic reasons, I've been getting just much more kind of emotional tied in. I'm watching these, but yeah, and then the round robin, of course, was Stoliarenko sub, didn't happen. Latifi KO didn't happen. Ronson Silva does not go the distance, minus 166, which, by the way, that was the play, right? That or the under, that fight, because that was really playable chalk for a fight in hindsight, right? Retrospect, and Dern sub was the other one, did not hit. So that recaps that card. And we're not going to go through a whole recap on Bellator. I will mention some things after I get through this. The MMA Jesus. Did you bet on Jan against Dern? If not, why are you a traitor to your people? I know, right? Oh, I feel like it. No, I had Dern by sub in a round robin, but no, I didn't make any straight plays, gay plays, or anything of in between of the sort. Otherwise, Asher Quinn. I don't know what would be manipulative about pushing Dern. If you want to push someone like that, you probably would have to give her the worst person around her. There's a point to that. Fair point. She's just not on that same elite tier. Yeah, no, she's definitely not. No. See, the UFC are probably sick of their strawberry prospects getting murked in round 1 by Andrade. Yeah, I mean, Andrade is a beast. Love me some Andrade. Synchro Wing, are you more excited for UFC 280 or UFC 281? UFC 280 just because I know it has Du Bronx in it, without looking offhand. Synchro Wing adds, I'm just excited to see Whaley fight an MSG again. Yeah, they're definitely excited for that as well, obviously. Jerry Harper, I played Jan Moneyline. Props to Kenny Florian. Yeah, that's right. Ken Flo was on Jan, wasn't he? Nice. Props to Ken Flo. Ken Flo got some love for the sprawl shorts by my guy Big Gun Brian Petrie. In that I posted on Twitter at Dan Tom MMA, as you can see on the thread. Like, subscribe to the video if you haven't already, folks. Getting nostalgic, of course. I posted the old Corral Shogun shorts were some of my faves. So thank you for participating. Ghost Phantom says, hey Dan, if you see Josh Hinger around Extreme Couture, you should roll with him. Definitely will. And have him teach you some awesome guillotine sweeps. Oh, I definitely will in that case. Yeah. I don't know if you're a guillotine guy. I just had this conversation today about mounted guillotines. I can't really brag about it. But yeah, I hit it today. Did a call my shot thing to my guy Justin James. We were talking about chokes. And I'm like, he was saying he didn't like mounted guillotine. I'm like, it's not that I don't like it. I just feel like my favorite is I like going for a mounted guillotine, especially if they bridge and try to bridge out of the mount. I go for the guillotine, not so much to get it, just enough to get them to respect it so they fight hands. And let's say if I go for it with my right arm, I'm going to sag off to my right side. If I go for it with my left arm, I'm going to sag off to my left side. And I'll go for it with my right arm. I'll sag slightly off so my weight's going to my knee. So I'm kind of like in a half mount. They're not really going anywhere. If anything, I can sit my weight on my right knee, the side I'm sagging off to. Maybe curl my left leg behind their knee so I've got some leg control, which in turn leads to some hip and bridging control, right? And as they are fighting the hands, they're worried about getting guillotined, but B, they also feel that daylight from the mount that I just spoke of. So they're like, okay, can I get out of this mount, but can I not get out while getting choked? That is two different things in two different areas to process. What they aren't processing is my free hand that is weaving nicely through like a snake, and it works fine with MMA gloves. This works in the gi. This works no gi. That's why I love this, folks. Because, again, they're fighting hands here, and when they're fighting hands, just like that example I talk and posted a clip on, go watch Tony Ferguson versus Lando Venata for the standing version. Tony does the standing guillotine, right? When Lando rolls, he catches him in the standing guillotine. Lando fights hands, and when you fight hands, you inherently open space between your triceps and your what is this, the lats or traps, whatever you call it. You open that space there, and that is where the darsing hand comes through. And once the darsing hand is through and peeking out the other side through their neck, I can release that guillotine grip that was keeping him preoccupied and cinch, and I don't even have to sit and drop all the way off. I can maintain that mount, semi 3/4 mount position control that I've been sitting into. It's super high percentage. It is probably my most high percentage Darce position in general. Try it. Please try it. Please get back to me. Mount, guillotine, sag off to the side your guillotine, and weave in your Darce and go to town, baby. Jimmy Kudo, I was rewatching Zhang vs. Joanna 2 and noticed Whaley would pick up a single on a high crotch. Yep, then take the back body lock for an inverted trip off the wall. Is that hard to learn? No, I actually love that move, those series. There's a lot of series off that and things that it can feed to knee tap variations depending on the reactions. Also, as pointed out by someone in the chat, that the shelving move that you see off of some of these cage takedowns that we saw Zhang Weili done is not uncommon and perhaps not coincidence given how they're training guys, the Hickman brothers, and so on and so forth, the MMA training down there at Bangtao Muay Thai. Rain Lamina, are you excited to watch Victor Henry? I'm very excited to watch Victor Henry. I'm glad he is getting his shine. I appreciate guys who took the long road there. You know me. Asher Quinn, I had Tisha by decision as a third leg of my parlay that day and was so upset. Oh, mi amor, goes out to you, my friend. Piera by decision. Pennington by decision. Torres by decision. Big F. Synchro Wing, speaking of Tisha Torres, why is she so hard to finish? Because Tisha is awesome. Like Weili, Rose, Joanna all had their time with her. I mean, yeah, everyone was shitting on Tisha so hard from that losing streak. Look how well that aged, right? And yeah, she doesn't get enough credit for her defense or her offense. Like, people's argument in the Dern fight was like, oh, well, it wasn't impactful, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, if you rewind it and actually know you're striking and you know, have an educated eye, you will see, A, that's incorrect, and B, how could anyone's theory be correct as far as Tisha Torres striking not be effective? Because lest we not forget, before that winning streak, the average Tisha Torres line was minus 350. Tisha Torres by decision, you couldn't even get it plus money as an opener because the books know it was death, taxes, and Tisha Torres by decision. Aside from Angela Hill in that weird fight when Angela Hill was early on in her career, so her grappling weakness was sticking way out, and it was like an elevation fight in Mexico, right? Like, I think that was one of her only grappling heavy wins, even on the regionals. Like, it was all striking volume. It was a crazy win streak, decision. Educated judges that, you know, the same people arguing against Torres with defending for their Dern scores. Like, okay, it's like, okay, so she's not effective. How in the fuck did she get here? How in the fuck did she gain all those fucking wins? How the fuck did she gain those wins? And it was to the point where it was inevitable that she was going to get future wins that odds makers were averaging her minus 350 fucking odds. She wasn't being an effective. What the fuck was she doing out there then? Sorry. Oh. Fucking garbage ass striking. Anyway, sorry. Ghost Phantom, thoughts on reactive takedown when your back is close to the fence? Very tough to do. Very tough to do. Being reminded of that. Was just thinking of that the other day. Yeah, I got pinned to the wall and sparring on my first day, and then I was getting like panic force shots because I was just fucking tired and wanted to get top position, and by that time I was just in bad position, and it's just ugly. All right, there you go. Asher Quinn, the really thing that really put me off is when UFC Twitter posted a pic of, this is probably when I was going on my Zuckerberg rant. Yeah, that was very tone deaf. When the UFC Twitter posted that pic celebrating, like, Zuck is all of us right now. Like, this whole glorification of, like, billionaires and all the weird people that, like, feel the urge to defend the billionaires is always the weirdest thing, whether we're talking about Zuck, Elon Musk and his, like, never-ending empty promises. I love that gif that's been going around and rehashed, like, the push it to the limit. They're counting the money in Scarface. Like, my favorite one was Elon Musk, when Elon Musk invents nothing, and it's just like the money rolls. Like, and then people go, "Oh, Elon!" On Twitter, you got to add that in. I just pissed off a bunch of my listenership probably who are Elon fans. I'm just saying, there is even if you like Elon and Tesla, you got to admit there's a really weird, like, billionaire fascination in our culture, right? It's just fucking weird. Yeah, but I agree with you, Asher, on that. Zhao Chu, speaking of Zuckerberg, do you know that Zhang Weili, Leach, and Song Yadong were looking forward to go to the Apex and rooting for Xiaonan? I would have loved to have seen those three on TV. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen them too. Instead of, like, Zuckerberg just, like, creepily just staring at them. I don't even know if I want to fight Zuckerberg, actually. I'd probably get, like, poisoned or something or stabbed before the match, like Gladiator style. Joaquin Phoenix would come out and just fucking shank me. Jerry Hopper, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, the wheels are going to fall off of Trinaldo at some point. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, they are, but you know, as you said so yourself on Twitter, my guy Jerry, the which made me feel better, and I appreciate that, by the way. Even like brown ticket holders saying, "I was sweating." I'm like, yeah, that's why I couldn't play, or even though I was on the fence on the pick, and so I picked the dog. I took a small shot, but got to the brown people who cash. The brown people, the people who are on brown, who got to the brown people. Sorry, Ghost Phantom. You gotta love Trinaldo, even though he's 1,000 years old and fighting in the wrong weight class. I know, I do love him. I'm telling you, man, he looks like Fred Williamson, who's like he's midway between turning from human to vampire and From Dusk Till Dawn, where he's just like leading the zombies. Like that is Masa Randuba. Here's my man Jerry. There we go. You're 100% right about the cage grab, though. Yeah, that was a really bad one. And I'm not one to like harp on those things, but like everybody's harping on it, and like the evidence was kind of you couldn't deny. Like even and props to Jerry, man. That's how. That's a good winner right there. You got to come clean with that. Asher Quinn, Yusuf round 1, round 2, minus 118, easiest money in my life. Nice. I like those places that have those props too. Plus 200, Yusuf round 1 as well. Nice hit, Asher. Is Dan the best low kicker in the? No way. Man. I used to rant and rave about it all the time, but he doesn't throw as many leg kicks in his fights. But Justin James, man, he's got the heaviest low kicks I've ever eaten at Extreme Couture. Like that would just last with me for weeks on end after getting kicked. Like it was, and that was with pads and sparring where it's not even a fight. I'm not going every round with the guy, thank God. I really like Sadiq Yusuf, but God, I wish he wasn't training with Lloyd Irvin. Yeah, that is allegedly. I wanted to do the for old Adam Carolla show radio show listeners back in the day. They would use this. Bald Brian would use a drop. In order for Hack to reach these kids, Hack will have to become a rapist. Anyways, on that note, next question. Some people are saying that Carlos Esparza at plus 300 is outrageous, Rain Lamina says. What is your opinion on the line? By the way, I just train and not a bettor, but I get that the betting is part of the game. Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm not surprised by it. I'm not going to make any grand things because I didn't break down the fight. You know me. But yeah, no, she should. It's disrespectful when you see the champ as an underdog, but I get it. In this case, I do. And you know me, I'm a Carlos Esparza fan. Cashed for us last time. Castanata, gas beating on the dude. Yep, that's what I think too, Jerry Harper. Spart Helder. Is that like Paul Felder? Spartan Paul Felder? Is it me or is the UFC phoned in with these mediocre cards? It's not you. UFC 280 and UFC 281 seem like the best cards of the year next to UFC 275. Yeah, it's been pretty bad, the oversaturation. I had heavy hands on in the background this week, and Phil McKenzie, credit where it's due, had a theory as far as like maybe they're still kind of fear from COVID and the whole pandemic that it's been a part of our lives. It kind of makes sense from that point of view, right? In case you get run into some kind of hiccups, you leave yourself dates because there's a unusual amount of dates even for their trend of lightening the load toward the end of the year. But so you got to imagine that they just front loaded because it was freaking relentless for the first 8 months. And again, with their whole Contender Series thing, my wrap up on that, you guys know. I don't hate people getting opportunities. I love the opportunities that it's created, in fact. But I don't like the lack of leverage and what it's doing in the big picture as far as labor market and the overall product. Speaking to the question from Spart Helder. And we're seeing that. There's people like me, Luke Thomas, have been complaining about it for years at this point ad nauseum. So, not a surprise. All right. Ghost Phantom, what are your thoughts on kicking above the waist on the open side since they are hard to catch while kicking low on the close side? Above the waist on the open side. Yeah, I mean, I like kicking just above the waist. I like going liver for myself. And, I don't have a fear of the ground, so I'm not really too worried about having my kicks caught. And then going low on the close side. Yeah, I would prefer it. I don't like going low on the open side, especially after all the shin breaks and seeing that it's the southpaws that get the worst of it. Yeah, I'm not exactly excited to throw low inside kicks at the moment, to be honest. So yeah, I am okay and prefer both of those. Jimmy Kudo, that's a cool combo you mentioned, Dan. I'm gonna start playing with that. Cool. Whether it was the striking combo or the guillotine to Darce, please do and let me know, Jimmy Kudo. The Angela Lee screaming of robbery. I saw that. I don't know about that. Props to the Chinese girl she fought, Zhang Jinan, I think is her name. I apologize if I got that wrong. Dan Tenacious Tom. I've gotten dirty Dan Tom before. Story for another day, kids. Michael Bisping of what? Whoa! You almost got me there. Just like you almost got me with Bisping. That one did flash on the screen. Wow, no. I don't even know if I'm a white belt. I don't even know if I any would even earn any experience. No, sir. No, got the wrong guy. Whoa! It got me again. Look at him. You guys are crafty. Dan Tom will read and put it on the prompter, apparently. Ronson was doing fine until he got kneed in the head twice. 2 tickets and 2 fights. That dude has cost me. Ooh, tough breaks. But hey, imagine how he feels, man. I mean, the guy couldn't get a win and got his one win taken away from him, right? So, yep. Mad props on the Kennedy pick. Was a 17 round 1 sub. No, I just put point half unit on his money line. Krombopolis Rosen. How much of a hit has WMMA taken with Rose versus Carla 2? Set it back 10 years. I've seen people saying that 115 is so boring after that fight. I don't think it set it back. I think that's recency reactionary bias, my friend. I wouldn't worry too much about it. As awful as that fight was. Y'all are being too hard on Dern. You see the groundwork she put in the transitions. That's next level stuff. As soon as she learns to wrestle, she loves to wrestle, she'll be unstoppable. You know what? Credit to what Jerry Harper's saying. I will say there was a stat in rewatch saying Dern has scored and attempted more takedowns than she ever had in a fight, and it was before even the third round. So that alone showed she was trying to get after it more. Even though the first round she wasn't that successful, she at least tried to get after it and was trying to put things together. So she is trying and she is working in the right direction. Is it coming as long as most people would like, as most people hoped, or as some people thought? No. But to Jerry's point, she does deserve some credit there. All right. Let's see. Jimmy Kudo, great point. Wrestling does take a long time to learn, So, yeah, it to my point, what Jimmy Kudo's saying, as far as not seeing the wrestling improvements you like, I still stand by that statement. I guess I'm just trying to be kind and saying she is being more of a willing wrestler for what that's worth. But, yeah, that's a great point to bring up, Jimmy Kudo. The wrestling does take a while to learn. Asher Quinn, any early thoughts on Shukagian at plus? I'm going to be getting out of here in 10 minutes, folks, so we're wrapping up in under 10. So get them in now. I'll get to what I can. I'm going to be wrapping up in under 10. Any thoughts on Shukagian at plus 160 or Chuk by decision at whatever the odds will be? Over 200 probably. Love Fiorot, but super high on her, but the line still feels wide. I still got to look on that more. My early lean is Fiorot, but yeah, it should not be a wide line either way. Should not be a wide line. I can confidently say that. We'll see where I end up, though, right, folks? I got to get into it first. Let's see. The people in the replies going, this is why it was close, because of all people hating on him. If anyone gives a fuck if Zuck was there normally. This is why it was closed. Oh, this is why it was closed, because of all the people hating on him. If anyone, I don't know. Well, there is a lot of defense in the replies. There's absolutely, Asher Quinn, there's absolutely a weird billionaire fascination at the moment. Also, half of Silicon Valley seems to think Elon has the Midas touch on him. Matt Levine from Bloomberg calls it the Elon markets hypothesis. Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. I definitely see that too. Who do you have between JHK and Casey Leydon? Are they fighting? Journal MMA fight. JHK with the edge since he trains with world-class coaches. I don't know, man. I think they're kind of close in size. Like, to be honest, I think we're all kind of close in size, but I wouldn't want to fight those guys because I really like those guys. And I hope they like each other because they're both cool dudes, man. Casey looks really good, man, and so does John. Looks super improved from what I'm seeing too. The difference is we got more tape on Casey because he's already completed a program and completed a fight. I believe he did an amateur rules MMA fight with like the shin pads, the cage, and the whole shebang. Got good mat time. What all 3 rounds. I gotta imagine it's 2-minute rounds out there. Vegas is 2-minute rounds. Vegas is like the closest to pros out here. It's like we've got no shin pads. We're allowed the knee to the body. We're allowed to strike on the ground, shin to chin. Everything pretty much except elbows in a shorter time limit. Oh, and like no reaping the knee heel hooks, but they'll still let you do knee bars and shit. So I don't know. I know JHK's got something I think in January or next year he's aiming for, but I'd support both those guys, and I just want to see them both do well and grow and continue to grow. They both have grown. I love it. I love both those guys. Love that they're doing it. Talking about a wider labor law implications of Dana White considered leverages. Ring, hello, base department. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, when I was talking about that, it's what it is, right? I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything anybody else hasn't been saying, folks. So nothing crazy there. Rio Sosa and Truesdale. I saw at Extreme Couture on the Nick Stick instructional. What are the triangles in the Octagon for? I spoke about these on a previous podcast, folks. In fact, that's for ring work, ring generalship, closing off spaces. Owning certain triangles, limiting certain triangles, right? Trying to close someone off, footwork drills, corralling drills, cage cutting drills. Really cool stuff there. You can do it at home with your practice space if you're trying to work in a closed area. Let's go, Jimmy Kudo. Well, so based. I guess I am. I don't know. I guess it's based. Jimmy Kudo, well, counterpoint to the Jerry point. Why has Whaley improved her wrestling improved it so much? Because if Whaley could learn fast, so could Dern. Maybe it's fighter themselves. I mean, that's the learning. Everybody learns differently, right? Everybody learns differently, different speeds. Some people take on different things, so it's unfair. You know, Whaley's a freak in the most complimentary of ways, of course, in all respect. So again, it's tough to say, you know. It's tough to say. I mean, Dern comes from a grappling base, you know. But again, you'd be surprised how many jiu-jitsu people just don't take to the wrestling, and Dern is trying to. She is trying in there. So for what that's worth, James Kendrick, would you ever train with Whaley if you saw her? Of course I would, but I mean, it's not like some random dude, not even your size. Can I train with you? Like, it's not how it works. It's not how, you know. It's just got to be circumstantial. You got to be in the group. Usually, someone has to say, "Oh no, he's an okay training partner." Because as a fighter, you got to be careful who you train with. Everyone's trying to take your head off for their own ego. I'm a good training partner, but how can I expect anyone to know that, right? Are you a fan of Victor rolls on the cage like Gamrot does? I've been playing with that, but end up on the bottom. Of Victor rolls in the cage like Gamrot does. I'll have to look those up, my friend. I don't have a reference offhand now. Is Nick Sick one of the best game planners? In my opinion, I'm biased, so I'm going to say yes. But I think he's made a good account of himself in that department unbiasedly. To stick up amongst his contemporaries. I think that's more than fair. Throw Dern in that Cejudo camp. Hey, it's Arizona. That's where her family lives, right? And did you know that Wei Li is a natural grappler? She didn't get comfortable striking until her 10th fight. Yeah, perhaps she is. But again, whether you come from a base on it or not, right? Like, GSP wasn't, and, he was one of the best wrestlers, and, da-da-da-da, right? So that can happen. I've seen Muay Thai people come in and just start picking up on wrestling really fast too, as well, from the striking base. So hard to say. Again, that's why I'm not going to overly hurt Dern. I do got to eat my medicine, especially anybody who tailed me on the Mads Burnell pick on Bellator 285. That was headlined by Benson Henderson defeating Peter Quealy, Yoel Romero defeating Melvin Manhoff, and Pedro Carvalho, Pops Pedro Carvalho. I still don't want to, even if it would partially, save face or whatever. It doesn't matter, man. Private information is private information. So I'm going to keep that private in case Mad decides to unveil the thing that he wasn't able to do in his fight with Pedro, because he wasn't able to do it. Like, basically something happened in the first minute or two, and he was in survival mode from there. And what he was practicing, obviously, even before that first minute or two, we did not see, and I don't want to say what it was, because it really is a great ace in the hole, not just for Pedro in particular, but for a lot of fighters, because it's something that they haven't seen him do, and he does it quite fluently. So I'm not going to have anything new to tell you on that. All I can simply do is eat crow and apologize from my end as far as my confidence of that lead. And again, I shouldn't have to. You guys are all adults. You can make your own plays. But I know I was very confident on my guy. I still am confident in my guy. Still a fan of my guy. Still a friend of my guy. Still rooting for my guy, man. I'm not fickle like that. But I got to come clean. I always do. And I'm very proud of the coaching staff and for Mads himself for taking it on the chin, being right up front. Everybody posting right away, giving their props to Pedro and SBG. And taking it on the chin, owning the loss, taking accountability for it. It's easy to post, like my coach Dennis said, who also coaches Mads. It's easy to post when you win. It's hard to post when you lose. And they were both very forthcoming. And that's the way you got to be, man. Got to man up to your losses. So, are you a fan of Rick and Morty? I think it's a hilarious show. I've not watched it probably since 2018, though, to be honest. So, I know the Pickle Rick reference, but it's a funny show. But yeah, I haven't watched much because it's all MMA. And before we hit the hour and a half mark, I'm gonna get out of here, folks. Real quick, actually, Bellator 286. I didn't make any plays except the one play I had was Patricio Pitbull defeating Adam Borics. Adam Borics. I wouldn't have been surprised with it being Bellator. I mean, Pitbull's been, he fights at 145. He should be at 135. We're finally going to move down there. Been a pro for, 18 freaking years? Like, yeah, if Borics would have won, I wouldn't have been crazily surprised. But, Bellator burned me the week before, right? With Mads and the favorites parlay. That burned a lot of people because there was a lot of big favorites that dropped, right? On that last Bellator card as well. Perhaps it got us a little gun shy, but you gave me an over $1 discount on Patricio Pitbull. Minus 149 when he opened at minus 250. You put him in playable chalk range. I should have fired more. Hindsight being 2020, we would have been in the black if I stuck to the plays that I put out and I didn't do the Castanata ad. But hey, at least Patricio pulled through. Didn't get to watch my guy JBC get the win with the with the TKO injury, but still I heard JBC did a good account for himself up until the injury. AJ McKee, of course, pulled out a crazy one over Spike Carlisle, who came out to Hulk Hogan, which was something. Somebody tweeted, which was funny, after him posting like anti-Semitic memes and shit. And I didn't really watch much of the fight, any of the other fights, to be honest, so I can't say much there, but good thing Pitbull came through. When do you think, when you win your fight, will you yell at the camera and say, I thought you guys said I had no knockout power? Like, is he... in my fantasies, I used to think maybe I do the BJ Penn fist bump in the years to come, especially since Razor Ramon passed. Maybe do the Razor Ramon thing. Maybe you just get on the cage and get the commission pissed off at you, and I get the photo of you doing the flex. Maybe maybe I'll just be fucking an emotional baby, like, which will probably be, and I'll just be like one of those people who just cry even though they won. But sad to say, end the show on this note. My fight is in jeopardy. So, not because of anything with me. I'm always dealing with stuff. Everybody is. I'm pushing through and trying to be as professional as possible. But, I don't know, man. Let's just say, it's like you can eat your way out of a fight. We've heard of that. as far as people, coming in over. Or you can cut yourself out of a fight. The guy I'm supposed to fight has been losing too much weight, man. We agreed to fight at 170. Granted, that was for October 8th. It got pushed back. Still 170 as far as I know, because 55, even though I should be fighting there, considering I was coming from 210, north of 210, I mean, that would be cutting over 50 pounds at that point. I don't know if I want to do that since I haven't cut weight since I'm in my 20s and now I'm closer to 40. But, yeah, homeboy's been hanging out at 156 to 159, and I asked, I was like, hey, they don't let pros fight if they're too far apart. I imagine they won't let amateurs fight. I'm planning on coming in at high 160s, low 170s in shape, preferably in the high 160s, which is coming in even under, not even cutting weight, right? It's something I would never do. But again, I'm not fighting 170 either, even though this guy is bigger, taller, longer, stronger, faster, more athletic than me. We talk about it all the time, and you see this at pros. Some people just have it in their head they've got to be as big as possible. And my guy, I love him, but he has it in his head he wants to fight 45s and 55s, even though he's gigantic for 45s, and he's even big still for 55s. But so yeah, I don't really want to get into it now, but yeah, you can make of it and read between the lines what you will. But I've even heard he's already asked to fight other people in the camp who already have fights booked. So I'm a little mentally flustered right now, little upset even. It messes with you mentally, man. I shared that Matt Mitrione, Stefan Struve video of you see all the range of emotions of seeing the fight get canceled. Granted, that's a pro on fight day, but you see Mitrione get pissed and go, fuck you, you're lying, and it goes to back all the way to an emotional crying scene where he's being very compassionate and crying with Stefan. And man, it's emotional. I mean, I thought I was done. My days competing were done, and I get approached because homeboy needs a fight, and apparently he wants to fight me. And I go get myself into camp. You guys have been seeing this whole process I've been doing. I've already dropped 30 pounds and counting. Still got 10 more to go to 170. Hanging out at 180 right now. And when this whole program is done, that started off with 30 and is down to 6 to 8 people, including the super heavyweights, who have lost around 30 pounds. Once it's all said and done, I will have cut the most weight than anybody in the whole program. So to ask me to cut more, the oldest guy in the whole program who's already cutting the most, who's already went above and beyond, who wasn't even supposed to be fighting, and went and dug my mindset from years on ago. And then now I might not be fighting, but I'm just already programmed to. I don't know. So I'm going to keep training like there's a fight, because even if I don't fight, folks, I'm not doing this shit for nothing. I'm still doing my striking privates. I'm still staying off the booze and the drinks. I'm still staying on diet. And I'm going to see how much weight I can get down naturally back into my weight class. I want to be walking in between 170 and 185 on the normal. Which I'm already in that goal, but I want to get at least comfortably into the 170s. And yeah, I'm still going to see this camp through, going back to Hawaii in December. But yeah, as of right now, my camp's in jeopardy. So yeah, it sucks. Anyways, I've talked long enough. It's 1:33. I'm going to get the out of here. Good show, Dan. Thank you very much. Dan, the man with the plan. Appreciate it. We are rooting for you, Dan. Thank you. Alvin Yakatori, wishing you the best, Dan. Remember, MMA is not about victory or defeat, but growth in areas you never knew you had. Absolutely. I'm getting that reminder. Great reminder there, Alvin. And I'm really enjoying the growth that I'm getting right now, from my striking to just everything, my wrestling. It's freaking awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Jerry Harper, thoughts on? You can go back and read my article for some thoughts on that. I don't have any crazy thoughts, to be honest. I'm not Bo Nickel jerking them off, but at the same time, the hype is deserved. I'm right in the middle. Fair weather it may sound, but that's just the way you got to be. But yeah, Do you see him fight? I wanted to see him fight Kizriev, but yeah, we know who he's fighting now. But you can look at my last grading the winners. But yeah, I wanted to see him against Kizriev, and they gave him Jamie Pickett. Keep your head up, Dan. Thank you, Ghost Fan. Appreciate you. Happy trading to you. Happy training. Happy week and weekend to you all. To those listening on the Protect Your Neck podcast, hopefully this is some weekend listening for you, at least to kill some time. Feel free to give me the 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. Like and subscribe if you're watching right now. Daniel Tom, MMA, on YouTube. And until next time, protect your neck.